This is the story of a man who won 9 ranking titles across 2 years, earned back-to-back ProTour Player of the Year awards, and climbed to World No. 5, then went an entire year without winning a single thing and is dropping down the world rankings. This is what happened to Dave Chisnall. Born on the 12th of September 1980 in St Helens, Merseyside, Dave Chisnall grew up as a footballer, and that's the path he stayed on until a broken foot at age 17 changed everything. The injury that ended his football ambitions accidentally produced one of the most naturally gifted dart players the sport has ever seen. The story, which has passed into darts folklore, goes that he walked into a friend's bedroom, picked up a set of darts for the very first time in his life, and threw a 180. First ever visit to a dartboard, 180, and if that single moment doesn't capture what kind of talent we're dealing with, nothing will. Rising through the BDO system, Chisnall arrived at the 2010 BDO World Championship final as a complete unknown, the kind of player nobody outside the hardcore circuit had heard of. Nobody gave him a chance, and he responded by coming back from 4 sets to 1 down against Martin Adams, pushing him all the way before Adams won 7 sets to 5. He lost, but every serious darts observer who watched it knew something special had just arrived. The PDC came calling, and in January 2011, he won a tour card on day 1 of the very first qualifying school. Then, in his first ever PDC event in Halle, Germany, he hit a 9-dart finish, his first PDC event, a perfect leg. The statement couldn't have been louder. 12 months later, Chisnall was beating Phil Taylor, not scraping past him, not nicking a set, but winning 4-1 at the World Championship against the greatest player in the history of the sport. That same year, he won 5 Players' Championship titles, finished number 1 on the Pro Tour Order of Merit, and collected the PDC Best Newcomer Award, all within a single season after crossing over from the BDO. The nickname Chizzy stuck. The walk-on song, Dizzy by Vic Reeves and the Wonder Stuff, became part of the Alexandra Palace furniture. Crowds genuinely warmed to him because he was the kind of player who could produce a 117 average out of nowhere, who could pile in 180 after 180 and leave opponents with nothing to work with. His career record backs all of it up. 26 PDC ranking titles, at least 11 9-dart finishes across his career, a best ever televised average of 117.94, recorded against Mark Webster at the 2018 German Darts Championship in the 6-0 whitewash that placed him 8th on the all-time PDC record for televised averages. Against James Wade in the 2015 Premier League, he posted 114.17 in a 7-1 demolition. His career best overall recorded average sits at 121.70, set during a 2020 Winter Series match. And across his PDC career, total prize money earnings exceeded £3.1 million. By any honest measure, Dave Chisnall belongs among the best players of his generation, but there's one number that follows him everywhere, and it's the one that matters most in this story: 0. 0 PDC major titles, despite reaching 6 PDC major finals across his career, and the pattern of those defeats tells you more about the Chisnall story than anything else. The 2013 World Grand Prix final came first, and it was brutal. Against Phil Taylor, a man Chisnall had already beaten 4-1 at the World Championship the previous year, he lost 0-6. Not a single set won. The 2014 Grand Slam of Darts final against Taylor was far closer, going 13-16, with Chisnall genuinely competitive throughout. 2 years later came back-to-back final losses to Michael van Gerwen, 6-11 at the Masters and 3-11 at the Players' Championship finals, 2 opportunities in the same year that both slipped away. The 2019 World Grand Prix final brought van Gerwen again and another defeat, this time 2-5, and then 2022, which is perhaps the one that stings the most. The Masters final against Joe Cullen, and Chisnall leads 5-2. One more set and the major drought is over. What follows instead is a collapse that ends 9-11 to Cullen, who missed 10 match darts in that final and still won. The semi-final losses cut just as deep. A 7-4 lead over Gary Anderson in the 2015 Premier League semi-final evaporated when Chisnall missed 3 match darts and lost 9-10 in a deciding leg. At the 2017 World Championship quarter-final, he threw 21 180s against Anderson, a joint record for a single PDC match, and still walked away with a 3-5 defeat. Analysts and fans landed on the same description over the years: the best player never to win a major. For a long time, that framing carried a kind of respect with it, because you had to be genuinely elite to keep reaching finals and semi-finals. But the weight of those near misses accumulated, and what started as a curiosity became something harder to ignore. None of that history prepared anyone for what Chisnall produced in 2023 and 2024, which stands as the most prolific sustained floor run of his entire career. 5 titles in 2023, the Baltic Sea Darts Open, the Dutch Darts Championship, the Hungarian Darts Trophy, Players Championship 23 and Players Championship 30, PDC ProTour Player of the Year, then 4 more in 2024, the European Darts Open, the Flanders Darts Trophy, Players Championship 6 and Players Championship 23, PDC ProTour Player of the Year again, back-to-back, 9 titles across 2 seasons, and by September 2024, a climb back to World No. 5, matching his career-high ranking from 2017. On the Pro Tour floor, Dave Chisnall, at 43 and 44 years old, was performing at or near the highest level of his career. The problem was that the PDC floor and the PDC television stage have never been the same sport in terms of pressure, and the gap between what Chisnall produced in those two environments had been widening for years. PDC stats analyst Christopher Kempf published an analysis in September 2024 that put numbers to what many observers had already sensed, documenting declines across averages, doubles and 180 rates compared to his 2019 output, even as the floor title stacked up. His European Tour average had dropped from 97.63 in 2019 to under 96 by 2024. Kempf did note an adaptation. His single dart checkout completion rate improved from 75% to 79.3%, and his legs won in 18 darts or fewer rate reached 84.3%, suggesting a player winning smarter on the floor while the raw power numbers quietly dipped. On television, none of those compensations held. The 2024 World Match Play delivered the starkest proof. Against Krzysztof Ratajski, Chisnall lost 2-10, his worst ever result at that event, converting just 2 of 9 attempts at double, 2 from 9. The man who had just been named Pro Tour Player of the Year couldn't put his doubles away when a camera was pointing at him. Sky Sports pundit Polly Turner observed that his stage performances hadn't been good for around 12 to 18 months, and the results bore that out entirely. Then came the night that Chisnall himself described as the hardest defeat of recent memory, a loss that followed him into the next year and beyond. The 2025 PDC World Championship at Alexandra Palace held in December 2024, and Chisnall walked in as the 6th seed, higher than he had ever been seeded at that venue. Second round, he faced Ricky Evans, and the match went to a deciding leg. Chisnall stepped up, threw what he believed was a 131 checkout, turned to the crowd and pointed his finger at the sky. The celebration started immediately, and then reality landed. He'd miscounted. The finish wasn't what he thought, and 8 remained on the board. Commentator Dan Dawson captured it in real time. A ridiculous miscount from Chizy, a blinding 131 finish. Shame it's not what he wanted. A match dart at double top followed. Chisnall missed it. Evans closed out the leg, and the 6th seed went out in the second round as part of a record 14 seeds eliminated at that stage of the same tournament. What happened next, Chisnall admitted freely months later. The defeat to Ricky Evans really hit me harder than I cared to let on, and the hangover crept into the start of the season. A black cloud, he called it, describing months where his head simply wasn't in the game, and his results confirmed it. The 2025 season became the worst year of his professional PDC career, and the numbers from that period need to be read slowly to appreciate just how complete the collapse was. 0 titles all year. The man who won 9 titles across the previous 2 seasons won nothing across the entirety of 2025. One final appearance came at Players' Championship 15, a 4-8 defeat to Ratajski, though a 9-darter on the way there confirmed the physical mechanics were still intact. 8 consecutive first-round exits at European Tour events followed, defending none of the titles he had won in 2024. A stretch of 22 tournaments passed without him progressing beyond the early rounds. When the 2025 Premier League selections came out, Chisnall's name was absent, and at the time of those selections he sat at world number 6. 6th in the world, uninvited to one of darts' most prestigious competitions. Rather than question the decision publicly, he accepted it entirely. I never expected to get a phone call, despite being world number 6 because of how poor I've been on TV this year. A man ranked 6th in the world publicly acknowledging that his television form didn't deserve a Premier League spot. October 2025 brought a moment that would have been unthinkable just 12 months earlier. Chisnall, twice a World Grand Prix finalist and the player who had appeared in 54 of the previous 56 televised Sky Sports ranking events, missed qualification for the World Grand Prix for the first time in his PDC career, falling short of the cut by approximately £1,000 behind Andrew Gilding. World number 5 to outside the World Grand Prix field in barely over a year. The 2025/26 World Championship confirmed the full picture. Against Fallon Sherrock in round 1, he averaged 89.66. Against Ricardo Pietreczko in round 2, 88.15, converting just 10 of 37 doubles along the way. He missed a match dart at double 16 before Pietreczko closed it out 3-2. The second consecutive year he had a dart to win a World Championship match and couldn't take it. His own words in his column afterwards: "Averages of 85 and 90 just aren't good enough at this level and I've got to sort it out." No single explanation covers all of this, and anyone who tells you otherwise is simplifying a complicated situation. The most measurable problem is his doubling under pressure on televised stages, which has been consistently poor throughout 2024 and 2025. 2 from 9 at the 2024 World Match Play, 27% overall at the 2025/26 World Championship. Kemp's analysis traced declining doubles percentages back to 2019, which means this isn't a sudden deterioration but a slow erosion that the floor titles were masking. When the floor form collapsed too, the doubling problem had nowhere to hide. Age is a factor Chisnall addresses with a certain dry honesty. At 45, he has said publicly that going on at 10:30 PM just isn't for him, and that his body and mind simply don't perform as well late at night. But Gary Anderson continues competing at 55, and Phil Taylor won his final World Championship at 52, so age alone doesn't close the argument. The competition deepened significantly around this period. Luke Littler arrived. Luke Humphries became world champion. The entire tour tightened up in ways that compressed margins for every established player, and Chisnall acknowledged it directly. The depth of talent is so strong these days, and then there's 15 years of major finals without a win. 7 finals across both codes, 0 titles, no public confirmation of working with a sports psychologist, no clean explanation for what happens between the ears when the TV lights come on, a miscount celebrated too early, match darts missed, averages that dropped 25 points between floor events and Alexandra Palace. At some point, the pattern becomes the story. As of early 2026, Chisnall sits at approximately world number 21 or 22, with his tour card secure inside the top 64. Prize money from his prolific 2024 season continues rolling off the 2-year ranking, meaning further slippage is likely without a return to form. Early signs in 2026 include a Players' Championship 5 win over Ricardo Pietreczko 6-4 in Leicester, the same player who eliminated him from the World Championship before losing to Ross Smith in the following round. The 9-darter against Darius Labanauskas in May 2025 showed that the mechanics, the eye, the scoring power, none of that has gone anywhere. What the floor can produce when the pressure is manageable remains genuinely world class, and Chisnall's own position on all of it leaves no room for ambiguity. I will win one of them. I'm not going to stop until I win one. Every day is different. I'm going for that first major, and it's definitely going to come. Whether that reads as defiance or something more painful depends on how long you've been watching. So here's where everything lands. Dave Chisnall joined the PDC in 2011 after throwing 180 on his first ever visit to a dartboard. He beat Phil Taylor at the World Championship in his second year on tour, won 26 PDC ranking titles, earned over £3.1 million in prize money, hit at least 11 9-dart finishes, posted a televised average of 117.94, and whitewashed Michael van Gerwen 5-0 at the World Championship, with a 107 average and 14 180s in one of the greatest individual performances the event has ever produced. He also lost 6 PDC major finals without winning one. He miscounted a 131 finish while already celebrating at the World Championship, missed the match dart that followed and went out to Ricky Evans, averaging 88 at the next World Championship. He missed another match dart and went out in the second round again, World No. 5 to outside the World Grand Prix field in just over a year. 9 titles in 2 years to 0 in 1. The talent was never the question. 26 titles and 11 9-darters settled that long ago. What 15 years of trying still hasn't answered is the one thing that defines legacies in this sport. The difference between a great player and a champion, and whether Dave Chisnall, at 45, still standing at that oche, will ever find it. That answer hasn't arrived yet, but as long as he keeps throwing, it's still worth waiting for.